Trump just killed globalism. The 2020s will go down as one of the most pivotal decades in human history, a time when the world changed course and a new era began. Think of the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 when, for the first time, a king's power was legally limited, or the fall of Constantinople in 1453, which marked the true end of the Roman Empire and shifted global power toward Western Europe. The discovery of the Americas, the global chaos of the two world wars, and the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. All were moments where the world changed direction. This week, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will publicly declare what many already suspected. Globalization is over. He'll admit that it has failed the public. The immediate trigger? A bold and sweeping move by US President Donald Trump, who announced global trade tariffs. Starmer will argue that this shock means Britain must now move further and faster to cut red tape and rebuild its domestic economy. In his own words, quote, "The world as we knew it has gone." And he's right. The global order that has defined the last 30 years is unraveling, and the 2024 US election was the moment that was chosen what to salvage from its collapse. Humanity faced a three-way crossroads: globalization, national sovereignty, and democracy. But only two could survive. By electing Trump, American voters chose to bury globalism in order to preserve sovereign nations and democratic governance. Trump's tariffs are not just about economics. They're a weapon of leverage, a way to force the world to abandon globalism and return power to individual nations. Had Kamala Harris won the election, the choice would have looked very different. Globalization would have stayed, sovereignty would have been sacrificed, and the world would have moved towards a future where your nation's laws and borders mattered less, and where democracy was preserved in name but not in function. That's what Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau meant when he told the New York Times in 2015, just a month after his election, that, quote, "Canada is the world's first post-national state." He wasn't predicting the future, he was describing the plan. Post-nationalism is the idea that power should move away from individual countries and into the hands of large unelected institutions. It means letting global organizations like the United Nations, the European Union, NATO, and the World Economic Forum steer domestic policy. It means using multinational corporations and global media to shape public opinion across borders. It means turning mass migration into a political tool to erode national identity and reshape culture. And it's been underway for decades. The World Economic Forum, one of the leading voices behind this shift, openly shared its 8 predictions for the world by 2030. A few of them: you'll own nothing and be happy. The US will no longer be the world's leading superpower. 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We'll need to welcome and integrate them. Fossil fuels will be history. Western values will be tested to the breaking point. This is not accidental, it's coordinated. The United Nations and the World Economic Forum signed a strategic partnership to deliver Agenda 2030, a global framework that envisions a one-world, socialist-style system, with China's model serving as the blueprint. In 2016, Trudeau traveled to China and told the Canada-China Business Council that, quote, "The success of the world is linked to China's success." UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, for his part, is a longtime member of the Fabian Society, an organization formed in 1884 to bring about global socialism gradually through reform rather than revolution. And Kamala Harris, well, her father was a Marxist economist. The Cold War may have ended, but the ideological war never did. It just evolved. China picked up the mantle the Soviet Union dropped, and its model of authoritarian socialism found quiet allies in Western institutions. We're even witnessing a modern version of Mao's Cultural Revolution on a global scale, which Mao launched in 1966 to destroy traditional Chinese values. Mao's 4 olds, old ideas, old customs, old culture, and old habits, were targeted by radical youth groups known as the Red Guards. Today, Western societies are going through a similar transformation, but instead of Red Guards, we have social justice warriors. The effect is the same: dismantle national identity in the name of socialist progress. This is why Trump is so fiercely hated by global elites. He's not just a politician, he's an obstacle, a roadblock standing in the way of a decades-long plan to dissolve national sovereignty and usher in a one-world order. Keir Starmer was right. The world as we knew it has gone. The question now is, what comes next? We're returning to something ancient, spheres of influence. For most of human history, the world was not globalized, it was regional. And that's where we're heading again. The Americas will be led by the United States, which is why Trump is focusing so heavily on Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. China will lead Asia unless India can stop them. Russia will reassert control over Eastern Europe, hence its push into Ukraine. Germany, France, and the UK will either compete or ally themselves for Western Europe leadership. In the Middle East, Iran, Israel, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia will all vie for dominance. Africa, as usual, will be economically exploited by whichever outside powers move in fastest. This isn't good or bad, it just is, and it's already happening. This very morning, America's stock markets are plunging, and China's are down by over 10%. Western markets are preparing for fallout, and fears of a global recession are rising fast. There's a saying worth remembering here. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Well, weak men have already created the hard times. We are entering an age where the leaders of nations must negotiate ruthlessly and act decisively in defense of their own people. Mark Carney isn't just a self-described globalist and elitist, he's also deeply compromised by China. Canada must make a choice in the coming election: elect a relic of a dying world, or choose someone willing to lead the charge into whatever comes next.